Welcome. Thank you, Paul, so much. And, I want to get, kind of jump into the next slide, which is where we'll really, keep this moving. My name is Mike Heidebrink. I have been in the construction trades for 32 years professionally. Prior to that, I grew up in construction. My dad was a superintendent for a construction company in the Midwest. I followed in his footsteps, as did my brother and family members. But basically, I have been around concrete my entire life. I think my passion for the industry and my passion for construction really kind of, hit its stride in my mid-20s when, I was working on projects that were, more utilitarian, kind of the humble roots of construction, foundations, automotive plants, and whatnot. But had the opportunity to work on a project in Toledo, Ohio, of all places, with that Frank Gehry had designed for the Toledo Art Museum. And that was the first place that I saw concrete really being used in a, I don't know, let's just say a kind of a mind-blowing, expressive way. And from there on, I was hooked, and I kind of made concrete and concrete construction my home. Over those 32 years, I've worked the trades, and I've worked, now in ownership of a company that supplies those trades. So next slide, Mike. I focus on sourcing. That's what we do. And the problems that we address are, finding the right products to build your visions. Supply chain right now is strained. This is new. And it's something that I think we're going to be dealing with for quite some time. We see it daily. Materials are in short supply, as many of you are aware, and this all culminates in delayed projects. This is where we are today, and I think we're going to be there for quite some time. Let's go to the next slide. Who is Concrete Exchange? So we are a product supplier. And we serve divisions 3, 7, and 9. We specialize in concrete surface treatments, restoration, and coating. We serve all 50 states. We're a very unique little company in that we're based here in California, but our roots are in logistics and e-commerce, where a lot of your building material suppliers come from, the big box and kind of standard construction supply. Our roots are in e-commerce. We were started founded in 2008. We were in e-commerce. We were early in that space, and today we sell throughout the country on multiple platforms, not just our own website or direct sales and special account sales, but also Amazon to homeowners and DIYers. That is where we excel, is in that online expectation that we grew up in, where customers expect to see material within a couple days. So we're just leveraging our training in the e-commerce world to better serve the construction industry here locally. And soon we'll have a second location down in Orlando, Florida. So we'll have 2 locations. Let's go to the next slide, Mike. This is a project. There's a couple projects here that I want to go over, but this project I'm kind of proud of. This was 21st Century Fox headquarters that we're talking the 41st through 44th floor. Gensler was the architect on this. And we're talking 120,000 square feet of a floor leveling product that we worked with our customer from sample making, prep, and planning all the way through to completion. So that floor you're seeing in that image on the right, that's what we worked with one of our customers to develop that system, source all those materials, and get that there on time for their project. Another project, next slide, Mike. This one was also a pretty fun one. This is a California Department of Corrections. If you look at that image on the left, all of those light gray sidewalks on the interior and exterior of the cell blocks, those were all originally constructed with a 5% slope across the flow of traffic. New ADA requirements only allow for a 2% slope. So the site supervisor was challenged with basically tearing up miles of concrete and repouring it at a 2% slope, or looking for other alternatives, which is what led them to me or to our company. We provided them a system where instead of instead of tearing out the concrete, we basically used a series of overlays and levelers to shift that pitch to meet current ADA requirements, saving the state a lot of money and a lot of time. The image on the right was probably my favorite part of this, was actually training the inmates who self-performed this work. So they gave them a certificate when they were all done and had a lot of fun doing it. Next slide. This one is the Copa soccer training facility in Walnut Creek. If none of you are familiar with it, check it out sometime. It's kind of an amazing integration of technology and sports training. There are a series of soccer, soccer fields and soccer training studios where that entire floor has sensors. The walls have sensors, the ceilings have sensors, where they are, where pressure is and motion is being used to help train the soccer players to perform, to meet their optimum performance. We provided a couple 100,000 square feet of a self-leveling leveler to fix what was previously the old Contra Costa Times printing facility. So it was a lot of messed up slabs and required a lot of work, but avoided having to tear those slabs up and recast those slabs. So we were able to integrate very, very state-of-the-art technology with a concrete floor, basically. Next slide. These are just some of the other brands that you'll see our products on. We don't necessarily sell direct to them, but we do sell to the contractors who work these customers. Here in the Bay Area, obviously, technology, Facebook, Apple. We do a lot in food service, a lot of epoxies, urethanes, products for food service, food prep, grocery stores. But probably one of our largest segments is healthcare. And this is because several of our customers are flooring contractors who work directly in the healthcare space. And the products that we curate are, many of them are very, very high quality products that meet the standards of healthcare, especially when it comes to subfloor levelers. You need a very, very good products to hold up against, gurneys and heavy equipment moving people on a daily basis down hallways. Let's go to the next slide. We focus on division 3, 7, and 9. That's not to say that everything, that we don't carry products outside of that, but this is our focus. In division 3, we carry concrete pigments, cementitious and gypsum overlays, admixtures to a certain degree. Moisture mitigation is a big area for us, especially here in the Bay Area. Balcony waterproofing and surface coating, that is a big segment for us, as well as epoxy, polyurethane coatings, concrete stains. So we have a lot of focus on aesthetic in our product lineup, as well as performance. So that's why you see kind of a blend here of some of the heavy, what I call the heavy hitters, USG, BASF, Sika, but mixed in with Interstar, which is a pigment company that does exceptional products, TK Products, which is a lot of DOT products. They're located in the Midwest. But these are companies that we have very strong relationships with, and can, they will help us move mountains for our customers, and have on many, many, many cases or instances. So yes, I'm very proud of the collection of brands that I have here. Let's move on to the next slide. So that is, that's kind of, that was my pitch, but I do, this is the Q&A section. So please, ask questions. We are here to, source the right materials for you.
Great. Michael, that's just fantastic. And I just love to have somebody with your service sector involved with BuildOUT. I think it really adds a significant value to our world vision. So I'm going to start off the Q&A. So if I understand correctly, you are a material supplier. You are not you don't do any of the installation, but basically you are the supplier to the industry.
Yes, we are a material supplier. And where we really focus our energy is sourcing material quickly, but also pairing the contractors, the tradespeople with the manufacturers and manufacturers for training. We do a lot of on-site crew training, especially given the fact that a lot of the products we sell, they require education and training. So yes,
Okay.
we are a material supplier.
So then, so in the procurement cycle, there's, I would have to think there's the large GC, and then there is probably the specialty contractor, which might be, I forget which license type it is, but they're obviously concrete pumping, and there's, furnish and install. I mean, there's a whole
Yep.
series of people who fit into that. So who do you actually sell to mostly?
So I would say about 80% of our sales are direct to the subcontractor who is doing the installation work. So flooring contractors, concrete contractors or painting contractors. Those are all the contractors who we are selling directly to. There is a smaller segment, maybe 20%, where we are working directly with facility managers and facility owners who are supplying, their job sites or keeping material on hand. So it's a blend. I do see, as we grow the business, that is going to shift more towards facility owners. I have made a concerted effort going into 2022 and in our planning, where we are going to put more resources towards working directly with the facility owners.
Great. And actually, Joe Mack, owner of CEO of Pride Resource Partners out of San Diego, asks a really important question these days. So have you experienced supply chain issues recently, and how do you actually overcome those limitations for your clients?
Yes, we have experienced supply challenges, as the rest of the industry has, and we've done a bang up job of solving the problem. Basically, at the beginning of the year, I drained the bank account and loaded up our warehouse when word came through that polyurethanes were going to be in short supply, and a lot of the raw materials that were required were, we were already experiencing shortages in 2020. We just loaded up our warehouse. We've been able to keep up with demand. We, to the point where we have contractors that I've never heard of who are calling us and sourcing truckloads of levelers for a project in Chicago, a contractor that I didn't even know existed. They're coming to us to source material. They're being told, you're not going to have it for 2 or 3 months. They come to us and we've got material. We can make material or get material delivered a week later. So there's, bottom line for us, it has not strained us. I think we were very forward thinking and in working with our vendors to make sure we were prepared for the shortages that a lot of people are experiencing right now. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you. So you talked about the importance of your online sales, which actually has been very successful. But my estimation or my perception is that the work that you do is highly customized as well, because each project is different on many levels. With your online and with your in-person sales, is there a lot of customization? Is there a lot of kind of customer interaction? How do you manage that flow?
So we use technology. We're like say we're a small company, but with a big brain. Our online and digital, our e-commerce space, that runs itself. That is not, these are products we offer. Make your selection, make your payments, and we will have it to you in a matter of days. For the larger, what I call our special accounts, which is what I would consider the folks I'm talking to here, those larger sales, those are really managed individually with a small team in our office, where we are working with solutions, from beginning to end. A lot of times we're involved with the planning stages of the project, so we can help steer or guide the customer to the materials we know are going to fit the timeline. If somebody has a quick timeline, we're not going to be talking about containers of material from Europe. We're going to be talking about what's available here domestically right now.
Okay. Mike, these days, I know that one of the big issues with suppliers is you have a lot of big guys like the Home Depots and the Grangers of the world who are continually kind of squeezing folks in the middle, which makes it more and more difficult for the suppliers to kind of really make any sort of margin. Um, do you have competition like that that is really putting the stress onto you guys, or are you just so specialized that your prices are always going to be competitive?
Um, our prices are competitive. I've built the company. My size allows me to be very nimble. So there's, the bigger guys or gals, the bigger outfits, those suppliers, there's a lot of product out there that they know absolutely nothing about. So when it comes to solutions for their customers, they've got a disadvantage there, where we have a very deep knowledge of these divisions, and especially, can source solutions quickly for those customers. Do we need to be price competitive? Of course. But we are not where a lot of those larger suppliers are focused on what I call the low margin sector, the bulk materials. That's not our focus at all. Matter of fact, I don't even sell bags of concrete. I'm like, hey, we'll sell you the admixtures to convert a 4,000 pound bag of concrete into a 8,000 pound mix or a 9,000 pound mix. But go to Home Depot or go to White Cap and source the inexpensive material there. We get into the much more highly customized product. I don't have the buying power to compete with those folks, so I stay in my lane. And really, there are cases where I'll broker something from one of the larger sellers as a California small business. But generally, we stay in our lane and out of those more commodity products.
And actually, Scott Richards, who is in construction management, he posted a note into the chat that I'm going to make sure the two of you are connected. But it strikes me that you would also be a real solution provider to construction management type people on projects, because they're the ones who have to make sure that the specs that are written into the contract language and to the standards and so forth. Do you work with construction management folks as well?
Absolutely, all the time. And that's usually, especially this year, well, the last 2 years have been, we've seen more of that due to material shortages. So where somebody has an epoxy or a urethane cement or, a material that is specified on a project, but they can't source, but we have alternatives, then we will work with the project managers, the architects, the designers, the contractors to, and partner them up with our manufacturers that we work closely with to customize solutions, to, change specs if that's needed, just to get a project done on time. So yes, we work with managers, construction managers on a very regular basis.
Oh, okay, great. So kind of turning to the utility sector, and maybe even, I know a lot of the tech companies are doing nothing but building all across the country and around the world. Can you just share with us briefly on how you work with like facilities management types? Because that's where utilities and, larger companies, could you work with their facilities folks to develop a procurement pipeline?
Yes, that we do that. We already do that with a couple facility managers. And usually what we're doing is, putting together a team that consists of the manufacturer and concrete exchange, along with the facility managers or facility operators, to really customize solutions. We're doing this right now on a project down in Orlando for Camping World Stadium, where they have about 50,000 square feet of a topping that is going down. They were just going to leave it raw, but now they're looking at it going, hey, this is really not that attractive. What kind of solutions do you have to make this food court look a little better than just a rough, raw concrete slab? So we've brought in, 3 different manufacturers, basically, worked with them to put together a solution for those customers, put those 3 solutions in front of the facility, the Camping World Stadium owners, and they selected one, and we're now moving forward, getting the material ready, and we will have a crew out there next, well, 2 weeks from now, actually training their field team on installing those coatings.
Great. Vigor Lamb, who is with Kitchell Construction Management, Vigor himself is actually working on a very, very large project for City College in San Francisco. And he actually had 2 questions, but I want to ask the second one first. From a sustainability perspective, what do you see as concrete's role in reducing building and pavement emissions, since we know that the industry is moving more and more towards sustainability? Do you deal with those issues?
Oh, yes. So sustainability is kind of in the DNA of Concrete Exchange. I mean, our focus is, don't tear it out if it can be resurfaced and restored. And then also with the products that we select and the manufacturers we work with, we highlight and select products. A lot of the products that we stock meet sustainability standards. We actually, within our organization, I have a program where for every pound of Portland cement we sell, we donate to reforestation projects that's kind of my own little internal geek thing to, recapture the CO2 that's produced in Portland cement. I mean, Concrete Exchange is our name, but honestly, it's, trying to reduce the amount of Portland cement that is used out there in the world is my personal focus.
Wow, that's awesome. Because I know like companies like Webcor, for instance, Webcor is going to, great lengths to make sure that they really, zero net
Right.
kind of project. So you seem like you're kind of a valuable solution to the industry.
Yeah, our roots, I mean, the roots of Concrete Exchange prior to us renaming it when I purchased the company was Cheng Concrete LLC, and we were located in Berkeley. So, I think that that's kind of part of, like I said, part of our DNA.
Great. And then one final closing, because this is what it all goes down to price. What kind of price spikes have you seen in the last year, roughly?
A lot of the epoxy and urethane coatings, we've seen 10 to 15% upticks. A couple of our manufacturers still have 6% surcharges on top of those 10 to 15% upcharges, but we're starting to see those start to back off. But I'm right now, I've kind of got my fingers crossed that this, I guess there's 2 things that have happened in the past year and a half, and it's the waves of COVID, which the waves of supply seems to be mirroring. So every time I get my hopes up that we're through this, something else happens. But right now we're seeing 10 to 15% kind of stable and staying up, increases in pricing on resins, not powders. Powders seem to be pretty stable. Pigments are stable, but it's in those resins where the real problems are.
Well, fantastic. Well, this has been just a really brilliant presentation. So thank you. So do you have a 30-second close that you want to just kind of ask for the deal?
Yeah, I mean, we are a unique company, and we're unique in that, our roots are in aesthetic. So everything we sell, we really, put an eye to it as far as how does it look when it's installed and how does it perform. We're small, and that means we're nimble. We can pivot on a dime, where a lot of these larger companies really, it takes a while to steer a big ship, and we're more of a little speedboat, and we can get a lot done in a very short period of time. I already mentioned we've got what I consider a curated portfolio of trusted manufacturers who we lean on a lot, and we love putting them together with a broad range of customers in various markets. And I guess the biggest thing is our use of technology. I mean, we are speed driven. We don't have a lot of staff, and we use technology to keep that staff low and we use that technology to keep our prices low. We don't have a heavy machine that needs to be supported financially. We keep it fast and lean.